Hello and welcome to Victoria's Cantina, where today we're having a look at the DC Collectibles Batman, The Adventures Continue, Batman 6-inch action figure. I got mine from Entertainment Earth. You can purchase yours from the link down below. So I am a lifelong Batman fan. I grew up as a little kid watching the Batman 1966 TV series as it was being reran, saw Batman 1989 in theaters, and I absolutely loved coming home in the afternoon after school to watch Batman the Animated Series. That said, I haven't really collected this line before. You guys know how it is when you collect Star Wars, when you collect Jurassic Park, when you collect X, Y, and Z, it's hard to collect everything. Thankfully, DC Collectibles thought it would be a good idea to bring some of them back to retail so that collectors could have another shot. So this is kind of a re-release, kind of not. We'll talk about that. First, let's go ahead and get into the packaging here. So it's rather simplistic. There's not a whole lot to say about it. It's orange, it's black, it's white. I dig it. It also indicates that it's number 50. And if I might say so, the back is rather simplistic. All right, I'm gonna take a moment, pop Batman out of the box. When we come back, we'll take a closer look. The insert we get with the figure basically just says Batman the Animated Series and Batman the Adventures Continue. And at the back, it shows you the figures that are available and that are coming out. So these are some of the older ones. You can see the numbers on there. You know, those are older figures. But then as you get higher up, starting right here, these are the new ones that are releasing and some of the new releases that are coming very soon and later in the year. So really cool stuff. All right, so standing at just under 6.5 inches tall, we have this brand new Batman figure. And I gotta say, right out of the box, he is looking really, really good. Now, I know that McFarlane has been releasing their own 7-inch versions of different Batman iterations, and they also have an animated series version. I didn't pick that up. I'm not a huge fan of the 7-inch scale, but I'm also not the biggest McFarlane customer. I have, however, been buying a DC Direct, which became DC Collectibles, for many years. In fact, very early on in the channel's history, one of the bigger focuses that we had was on the DC Direct, DC Collectibles, Batman Arkham Asylum, and Arkham City figures. Now, those were in fact 7-inch scale figures, but they were so good, and for the price they were asking for those at the time, I think they averaged around $25. They were pretty magnificent for the most part. I do regret missing out on so much of the previous DC Collectibles Batman the Animated Series line, but I do have the Batmobile, the one that came packed with Batman and Robin and the Bat Signal. I have never opened it. I want to do that one day when I have room for it on the shelf, because that's an awesome piece. But now that they're re-releasing some of these figures, that's going to be my chance to get them, and I'll be able to eventually do a nice little shelf display. All right, so let's go ahead and get up and personal with Batman. We're not going to invade his personal space because that wouldn't be good. Batman probably wouldn't appreciate that. But DC Collectibles was very faithful to the source material. Now, it's my understanding that these new figures are basically retools and repaints of the previously released figures. In this case, they've given Batman this sort of very animated paint scheme that kind of has that sort of the lighting that you see in Batman the Animated Series. Such a fantastic series, very iconic, and one of the best, if not maybe the best, in my opinion, animated series of all time. And it just looks so cool the way that they did that. Not everybody's going to love that highlighting. And if you don't, well, the other older figures are available, on eBay and whatnot. But this is nice, $25. And basically it's one of those awesome DC Collectibles figures that has a very animated look to it. I just love the sculpt of the head. All the paint is very crisp, very clean. Those eyes look awesome. The face, the lips, all that looks great. The ears are nice and pointy. They're not bent. That's often a problem with Batman figures. They're not bent here at all. Look at that Bat logo. It is embossed, so it does kind of stick out a little bit, and it looks really, really beautiful. Arms look great. Torso looks great. One thing I didn't like about the McFarlane figure from what I saw in photos and stuff was that, it was very buff. It looked kind of a little too exaggerated even for Batman the Animated Series. So this is a much truer form to what you see in that awesome TV show. And it just looks really nice. I really like the way that they painted like here. It's not just like gray. It's very dimensional. And they did that by applying a darker shade of gray underneath his pecs and here around his abs. than they did here and, you know, there on the majority of the abdomen. Really nice shading. And of course, that is on the cowl as well. So you do have the blue up there, and then you have the blue down here. So it makes it look like he's out fighting crime, you know, in the middle of the night with the street lights, the moonlight, whatnot. So that's pretty cool. Some more blue right here. You can see the blue highlights there on the gloves. It's on the cape. And I mean, this particularly from the back, for whatever reason, just screams Batman the Animated Series to me. Just the way they painted it. It looks great. And that cape, you can see it's got the little points down here. It is a little bit scratched. I would complain about that. You know, it is a little bit scratched up. So that kind of, I mean, it's not the end of the world. That seems to be par for the course a lot of the time when you have plastic capes on mass-produced toys. So it kind of is what it is. The shorts look good. I love the color of the bright yellow belt. You can see it's a little bit brighter than the Bat logo right there. And then his boots are also highlighted with blue stripes on them. So the underside of the cape is a nice vivid blue color, and that is his backside. In terms of articulation, we have a ball pin here at the top of the head, so it goes down a little bit, goes up a little bit. You can go side to side. He can cock his head like that. I don't remember in the show if he could go side to side, because obviously in the movies that's long been a problem for Batman. So I don't know if that was the case in the series as well. I imagine he'd be able to move his head because it's a show, right? It's a cartoon, but I don't know. I'm drawing a blank. Here are the shoulders. You do have ball hinges. I will note that these joints are a little bit tight, not terribly so like a lot of those earlier figures, but they're a little bit tight. Here at the elbow, you're not going to get much of a bend there. In fact, that's actually a little bit disappointing of a bend. I mean, they're already disrupting the flow of the aesthetics, you know, by including these joints. So I kind of wish they would have given it a better range of movement. You can twist them, however. Here are the little blades right there. Here at the wrists, you can bend them forward, backward, rotate. And it's going to be the same thing here on the left hand. Here at the waist, you do have a twist. Here at the hips, you can articulate them outward. It's not a full split, but it's decent enough. At the elbows, we get a nice double bend. So you're going to get good movement there. You also get rotations here at the boots. And then here at the ankles, you can bend them quite a bit and forward. You know, that's a lot of movement. And then, let's see, they do pivot side to side. So, I mean, overall, it's nicely articulated. I'm a little disappointed, though, in these elbows. I mean, come on, that's barely any movement. So that prevents you from really getting a whole lot of dynamic movement, dynamic duo, dynamic movement out of his elbows. And in terms of weapons, we have a Batarang. It looks really nice. It's blue and black. To hold it, you're going to need the hands that are intended to grab onto the Batarang. And he seems to hold it okay. It's not the firmest grip, so I would be a little worried of him dropping it, but it does work. We also get the grapnel gun, and as you can see, it does have a hand sculpted to it. That way you can just plug the hand straight in. And then we also have a set of more open hands. So we have some options. All right, so since I don't have any other Batman the Animated Series figures handy, like I said, I do have that Batmobile, but I've never opened it up, and that other Batman figure is packed in there. So what I did is I grabbed a couple Batman figures that I had on the shelf on display. Right here we have the NECA Batman 1989, and then over here we have the Mafex Batman from the Dark Knight Rises. That's the 3.0 version. And as you can see, it's more in scale with the Mafex. All right. Right here, before I go any further, that's the one thing I was going to complain about in just a second. He is a little hard to stand. And he's actually got a really good center of gravity, so it's a little perplexing. But the issue is that this articulation, particularly here in the knees, mostly the right knee, but it's both, is a little bit loose. So I'm trying to figure out the sweet spot for this guy. As you can see, the joints aren't, I mean, he's a little rubbery in the knees. The top part feels solid, but down here, it's a little bit weak. It's a little rubbery, and that, you know, is really unfortunate because that's kind of making him hard to pose, and it's getting a little irritating. So I'd be a little worried about him falling off of the shelf. But yeah, I didn't want to get into that just yet, but since you're obviously seeing that it's an issue, I've got to call it out right here. So yeah, so anyway, let's see if we can stay standing. This is how it goes, you guys. So So yeah, the NECA is a 7-inch scale figure. That Batman, I love that figure, but he doesn't look good when you pose him. He looks good if he's just standing straight on the shelf like normal, at attention, but he doesn't look good when you pose him. So I cannot wait for the Mezco release to come out later this year, or even the SH Figure Arts. I got both on pre-order because Michael Keaton is my Batman. He was Batman when I was a kid. He is my Batman, so, But yeah, I love that figure, by the way. That figure is amazing. But yeah, so just... All right, ladies and gentlemen, so there you have it. This is the DC Collectibles Batman, The Adventures Continue 6-inch Batman action figure from the new media promotion, Batman, The Adventures Continue, and Batman, The Animated Series. So overall, you guys, I really like the figure. Like I was saying, aesthetically speaking, he is gorgeous. This is Batman in one of his truest forms. He is seared into my memory. In terms of Batman animation, Batman the Animated Series is the definitive Batman. In fact, that portrayal of Batman by the awesome Kevin Conroy is the definitive Batman for a lot of people. If you missed out on the earlier releases from DC Collectibles, I think this is a great opportunity to start collecting them. They're releasing a lot of the main characters this year. Harley Quinn should be out soon. Red Hood, I think, is out. Robin is coming. Catwoman's coming. Joker's coming. It's really a good point at which to jump on board if you missed out on the earlier versions of these figures. That said, it's not a perfect release. While I do love the aesthetics and while I do love the paintwork, I am a little disappointed with the elbows. The elbows don't articulate very well at all. The batarangs don't form into his hands all that well, and as you witnessed, he is kind of hard to keep standing up. He actually should be able to stand perfectly fine, but those knees are just too wobbly, and that keeps him from staying upright, and I'm a little worried. I might have to put him a little bit farther back on the shelf once I get to a point where I can display more of these figures, but I like it overall. I just think that some of those things should have been worked out. I don't know if they were an issue on earlier releases. If you guys know, please let me know down in the comments. I am very curious. So definitely DC Collectibles should have resolved that before releasing this version of the figure. It should not go to market unable to stand with knees like that. It just really shouldn't. But on the whole, I do like it. And like I said, it's a good point to jump on board with this line and start collecting these figures. Again, you can pick yours up at Entertainment Earth using the link down below. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts down below. Will you be adding this figure to your collection? Let me know what you think. Be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Subscribe to the Cantina Chatter podcast. And as always, I'd like to thank you for tuning in to Victoria's Cantina. Until next time, bye-bye.